طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح. أصل المسيح هو الحياة، هو الطريق 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 الطريق
Welcome to The Way TV. We're back again. I want to concentrate on a little bit different focus this time. I want to concentrate on protecting Christians, not for the sake of protecting Christians, though that's very important, but protecting Christians so that Christians can go out and convert Muslims into Christianity. Hey, that would be great. So today, what I'm going to do is show you some clips of extremely dangerous person in the United States. This person is responsible 100% for throwing my friend, an innocent man who had absolutely nothing to do with what this person accused him of doing, never giving him a trial, never charging him with a crime, throwing him into solitary confinement for 8 months, 4 more months of penitentiary, and almost 2.5 years he's been in a halfway house. We have to protect the Christians so that they can go out and they can share the gospel with the Muslims. That's the most effective way to survive what's going on. We'll have to use politics and military too. But I'm going to expose my personal enemy, for real, that this person turned the FBI loose on me, came to my house, came to my business, did the same thing to my friend whom they threw into prison with no trial and with no charge. So with no further ado, my whole thinking is I'm not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. She hates me. She hates my friend. We told the truth about Muhammad. She didn't like it. She lied about us, threw my friend in jail. She will do nothing, zero, nada, to protect the Christians, in my opinion. I think I'm right. I've been in this ball game for a long time. So I'm not going to vote for this person. She is very dangerous, and she'll throw a lot of people into prison that she doesn't like. With that, clip number 1.
What you're about to see is a sample of statements made by victims and qualified experts who believe it's essential that you understand the dark and dangerous side of Hillary Rodham Clinton. In the upcoming videos, we will expose dozens of scandals based upon eyewitness interviews and facts which most Americans have never seen or heard, and the Clinton crime family is desperately seeking to cover up. My name's Pat Matriciano. I've been a video journalist for almost 45 years. I've interviewed thousands of people on almost every continent. I've infiltrated communist meetings, radical Islamic groups, as well as satanic and witch covens. Footage I've shot has been used in television stations throughout the world. Investigative reporters posing as journalists have been murdered on account of these stories. I'm here to report to you the facts and the truth this corrupt system doesn't want you to hear. One thing I've learned, if you want to know something about a person, you need to check their background. And that's why I am very concerned about Hillary Clinton becoming the President of the United States. Because the more you check her background, the scarier she becomes. I wanted to interview a number of people all in one room, that these people were all very close to Bill Clinton, mainly former or active law enforcement. Some had been part of the Rose Law Firm and a very close colleague of Hillary Clinton's. Some had been really victims of the Clinton regime. Some had been bodyguards to the Clintons. And I asked them a number of questions on camera. And what they told me was really interesting. They told me that Bill Clinton had been involved in many, many cover-ups. Not only the Whitewater cover-up, not only the death of 2 boys that were killed on some railroad tracks, not only the importation of drugs into Arkansas, he knew all about it. Our sources, many of them, have told us that Bill Clinton was getting a piece of all the drugs that would come into Arkansas. This is the United States of America. You know, things like this shouldn't happen. Well, this happened to me when I was investigating a murder that took place in the Little Rock, Arkansas area. I had an apartment there for some time, and it was kind of a safe house. Journalists would come, and I had an extra bedroom that they could stay in. And I spent a lot of time in Arkansas investigating the Clintons. When I was tried in Arkansas over my film Obstruction of Justice, a lot of things came to the surface that I didn't really know. 2 of my witnesses, one of them vanished. Nobody knows what happened to him. But there was a moratorium in any kind of an investigation.
A bit longer. You got me. Okay. I've been working with the gentleman who did that film. He's done some really great work. He's been all over the world. He's got inside knowledge that surprises me, and I'm an intel type guy, so I've been doing this stuff for a long time. He contacted me on some other matters about a year ago. We got to know each other. He was interviewing me for some other stuff, didn't work out. But he says, yeah, it's this time now, we got to start working on protecting the Christians. We got to do something to tell the truth about this very dangerous family, the Clinton family. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, well, I don't want to get involved in politics. Well, politics, if you remember from some prior shows, is definitely related to religion. The practical application of our deepest held and most cherished beliefs are known as government or politics. And of course, our deepest held and most cherished beliefs are known as religion. You can go in and you can study and you can find out, without a doubt, that all government rests upon some common law, a law held in common by a group of people, and that all common law rests on some religion. For example, if you looked 400 or 500 years ago at the 2 major navies fighting in the Mediterranean Sea, one group of the Navy had a Christian cross on it, which symbolized the love of Jesus and taking care of widows and orphans. They were engaged in self-defense, in defending their families. The other Navy had a crescent moon on their sail, and their whole ambition was based on the Quran, Surah 860, which means to terrorize and wage war or kill the infidel. So if you're killing the infidel, you're creating widows and orphans. Consider James 1:27. True religion is taking care of widows and orphans. Consider Islam. True religion is Surah 860, terrorizing infidel and killing them. So what I'm getting back to is the connection between government and religion, or church and state, where our morality comes from. This is what I have my doctorate in. I know a lot of people immediately turn it off, but stop and consider. As a Christian, don't you consider your ethical decisions based on the golden rule, as Jesus said? Don't you base your ethical decisions on taking care of the poor, taking care of the widows and orphans? Well, that is the high point of Christianity. We're not perfect, but if we do something wrong, we can go back and say, what did Jesus do? And correct ourselves. Under Islam, they're not perfect either. And they don't have in their Sharia law taking care of widows and orphans, nor taking care of poor people. They talk about the alms, but if you go in and you study the use of alms or zakat, especially today, that's how they fund suicide bombers. So we as Christians, when we make mistakes, we go back, we look at what did Jesus do, we correct our mistake. What the Muslims do is they go back to what did Muhammad do as the basis of their decision making for ethics. And Muhammad was a pedophile, a murderer, a thief, a liar, a brigand, an all-around thug. Okay, Number two. Let's go to number two.
The other one actually died by a blow to the head a couple days before I was going to depose him. They're trying to take away my freedom of speech by saying I can't talk about a public official even when I have overwhelming evidence to prove this. I watched as these people lied under oath. Unbelievable. And one of the things that has been very, very peculiar was the death of Vince Foster. Now, Vince Foster was her partner in the Rose Law Firm. He also came to Washington, D.C. with her as an attorney for the president. One day he came to one of my colleagues and said to him, I'm very, very, very concerned about my personal safety. And he said, why? He says, well, I've got information that I don't want to have to give out because it's going to get us all in the trouble. And of course it had to do with the Whitewater investigation, really into the crimes committed by the Clintons that had been covered up by his former colleagues. I've done a lot of investigating over the years, but when you investigate the Clintons, you've got people kicking your door in trying to assassinate one of your colleagues, and they're very dangerous people. As an investigative journalist, it's very, very important that you develop relationships with people who will give you proper information. You develop relationships with government officials. When I started working on the videos that dealt with the Clinton regime, I was surprised one day when I got a call from a friend of mine who was actually a federal agent. He said, Pat, we need to meet and we need to talk. I've got some things I need to tell you. We can't talk over the phone. And he came out of the office and said, I don't think we can talk in here. Your office could be bugged. So we went outside and he began to tell me a story that was very scary. He said, Pat, my colleagues in the agency know that you're making a movie that deals with the President of the United States. And I want to tell you that it's very dangerous. The Justice Department is over the FBI, and the President controls the Justice Department. The U.S. Attorney General is the one that basically calls the shots. And if that person is not your friend, this force can be used against you. That's why we've got to be very careful who we elect to office. And that's why I'm terrified of Hillary Clinton getting in office, because she has already abused those offices as a Secretary of State, as a senator, and the next President of the United States. Most Americans have.
So we're working on that video. It's almost done. It'll be released very shortly. The next segment, you'll see a picture of yours truly. But again, this goes back, what he's talking about, they're trying to take away his First Amendment right. First Amendment right. Now, Hillary and her buddy Obama were in the United Nations 3 years ago talking about me and my buddy that they threw into jail, and they were trying to pass the anti-blasphemy law that anybody who tells the truth about Muhammad, being a brigand, a murderer, a thief, a pedophile, necrophilia, all of the crazy things the guy did, that we would get thrown in jail. That's the destruction of the First Amendment. You as Christians, we can't witness to the Muslims to take them out of that lifestyle of murder and rape and pedophilia and all that other stuff if we don't have the First Amendment. It's one of the reasons why we have the First Amendment, so that we can share the gospel, because by faith we establish the law, the moral law, the Ten Commandments, Romans 3:31. And this is the basis of our government, taking care of widows and orphans. Love is the fulfillment of the law, whereas under Islam, it's hate is the fulfillment of the law. Okay, number 3.
No idea what life would be like in this country if Hillary Clinton were elected president. So I've asked a number of very prominent people what they think.
Okay, so this all goes back now. The Clintons destroyed the guy that made that movie, Pat Matriciana. They destroyed him. He did a great job. First Amendment, did a great job. Look, I'm sorry, but this lady here, she hates the name of Christ. She hates Christians. She doesn't like them. You might think she does, but I'm telling you right now, she doesn't. And people like me who've gone out to mosques many times and witnessed and shared Jesus to people, he wants to shut us up. Now, I know the election is coming up, and I'm not saying who to vote for, but I am saying who not to vote for. Don't vote for Hillary, because she will shut down the First Amendment. You're not going to be able to share the love of Jesus. You're not going to be able to bring Muslims over. She's got a track record of helping the Muslims. She helps the Muslims because they've given her millions and millions and millions of dollars, if not more, through the Clinton Foundation and all that other stuff. The other guy that she's probably going to be running against hasn't taken a cent from them. He does work with the Muslims, but he does understand we have a Muslim problem. But just like David was not perfect, David was not perfect. Every Christian who's mature knows the story of David. He was not perfect. And yet in the Old Testament and the New Testament, God states that David was a man after his own heart. Why? Because he did everything perfect? Not at all. Why? Because he protected the people of God. That's a huge, huge difference. This person here threw an innocent man into prison, my friend, who had done absolutely nothing at all that she accused him of doing. He was minding his own business, had nothing at all to do with the death of the ambassador to Benghazi. It was 100% her fault. We proved that time and time again, that it was her fault. The video that my friend made had absolutely nothing at all to do with Benghazi. She lied about it. She took a man who had nothing at all to do with Benghazi, 10,000 miles away, had him arrested, and without a trial and without charges thrown into prison. That's very dangerous. If she gets elected, I figure that I will end up getting thrown in prison. Frankly, I don't care. I'm an old man. If I get thrown in prison, I'm free for Jesus. If they cut my head off, I'm alive for Jesus. That's the way that we should think. We don't all think. I haven't always thought this way. I'm a weak man, but I am definitely doing all I can merely to tell the truth about this horrible, evil, wicked witch. Now, if you go back to 2 Kings chapter 11, Queen Athaliah, who tried to murder the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa of Jesus, Athaliah murdered all of her grandsons. Joash got away, thank God. He was in a direct line of Jesus. Athaliah had no conscience. This woman, she has no conscience, I'm telling you right now. In the story from Shakespeare of Lady Macbeth, you remember when Lady Macbeth got her husband to murder the king, and then her conscience worked on her, the law written on the heart. Her conscience, the law written on her heart, the inner man, those of you who know Greek, Themis, which means the seat of rage or the conscience. Because she murdered an innocent man, the king, she started having her conscience work on her and destroying her, just like happened to O.J. Simpson. But in the play by Shakespeare, Lady Macbeth keeps looking at her hand, and in her brain, she's so full of guilt, she sees a spot of blood. She knows she's guilty. She knows she's guilty that she murdered an innocent man. This woman here, she has no conscience. If she looked at her hand, she would see no blood, even though Vince Foster, Ron Brown, and many others that we suspect this woman is directly responsible for killing. Clip number 4, Arbaugh.
It's part of the Clinton method, which is say what you need to say at any given moment and rely on the lack of memory of the American public and the support of the mainstream media to support that lack of memory.
Well, the 20-year plan really is that the Clintons share power. One would be president 8 years, one would be president another 8 years, over a span of 20 years, with a little Republican in between, perhaps.
So in essence, what happened is that Bill and Hillary, in their mid-20s, before they ever took their marital vows, they took their political vows.
You know, a lot of people ask me, do we have to go through all these old Clinton scandals again? Well, I have good news for you. You don't, because you can look at the new ones, because Hillary Clinton's scandals are a gift that keeps on giving. Ruthless, vindictive,
Mendacious, venal, sneaky.
ideological, intolerant.
Liar is a good one.
Scares the hell out of me.
Looks good in a pantsuit.
I announced today that I'm forming a presidential exploratory committee. I'm not just starting a campaign, though. I'm beginning a conversation with you, with America. So let's talk, let's chat, let's start a dialogue about your ideas and mine. And while I can't visit everyone's living room, I can try. So let the conversation begin. I have a feeling it's going to be very interesting.
The challenge for Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail is she has to pretend to be something she's not. She's far more liberal than she's going to want to let on. That means you have to be very controlled. You can't be too spontaneous. You're pretending to be something. And I think that's going to be a potential problem for her on a couple of grounds. It's inauthentic, and people spot that.
I am sick and tired of people who say that if you debate and you disagree with this administration.
That's it. She's a megalomaniac. She's in her brain, she's Lady Macbeth, and beyond that, she's Joan of Arc. She's the greatest woman that ever walked the face of the earth. She's a very sick woman. She's psychotic, psychopathic. She's got some very serious problems. She doesn't care. Just like Queen Athaliah, chapter 11 of 2 Kings. She doesn't care who she kills. She doesn't care who she destroys. She doesn't care about America. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about the Muslims. She doesn't care about Christians. She doesn't care about anything except power and keeping power. That's all she cares about. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The woman is, frankly, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Clip number 5. Let's see some more of this dangerous woman.
Then she's going to want to let on. That means you have to be very controlled. You can't be too spontaneous. You're pretending to be something. And I think that's going to be a potential problem for her on a couple of grounds. It's inauthentic, and people spot that.
I am sick and tired of people who say that if you debate and you disagree with this administration, somehow you're not patriotic, and we should stand up and say, we are Americans and we have a right to debate and disagree with any administration.
She's a person who's struggling herself with figuring out who she is, or more importantly, how she wants to present herself to the American public, because her own advisors told us her sort of authenticity and who she is issue 1, issue 2, and issue 3 for her.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from.
She's continually trying to redefine herself and figure out who she is and project an authenticity to voters who are, of course, wondering who is the real Hillary.
Hillary Rodham Clinton. Could she become the first female president in the history of the United States? Her name is known by nearly every American, but who she really is remains largely a mystery. Hillary Clinton points to her time in the White House as a large part of her qualification for the job as president. But most of the news media has conveniently forgotten that her time as First Lady was mired in controversy.
The core of the controversy is how truthful Mrs. Clinton has been in answering questions, sometimes under oath, about Whitewater and other matters.
She was the First Lady to come under criminal investigation. In both Little Rock and Washington, D.C., she was plagued by numerous scandals.
Senator Clinton has extraordinary ability to obfuscate, refuse to answer questions, avoid confrontations, and up until now has been given a pass on it.
A story in the New York Times talking about why Senator Clinton voted this way, because I think some people were surprised by it. And her advisor said that she voted yes because she was moving from primary mode to general election mode. Primary mode versus general election mode? How about tell the truth mode? How about we say the same thing in the primary that we say in the general election?
We know that Hillary's an insecure person. Secure people don't lie. They don't lie inveterately the way she does.
What drives Hillary now is power. She very much is interested in gaining power. She considers herself to be a special person. She has a lot of arrogance, a spirit of superiority about her, and this is the driving force in her life, is to gain and acquire and maintain power.
So to me, it's terrifying as we've come so far in 6,000 years of recorded history, the biblical history, the stuff that gave us our due process, the 10 Commandments. You have to have 2 witnesses in order to establish proof that if somebody perjures themselves under oath from the Bible, then that perjurer suffers the same offense as the person who's being accused. All of these things, you know, the grand jury based on 70 people, the Sanhedrin with the 70, all of these things, this woman, she does not care about. And I'm going to close on this. This guy that she's married to has battered, assaulted, harassed, harangued, beaten, even raped women. And she comes out and does everything she can to help him because she loves him? No. She's in love with one person and one person only. Do me a favor, do you a favor. Don't vote for her. We'll come back to this the next show and we'll finish this out. And the whole video will be released with me giving all kinds of proof, evidence, and facts about how she lied and threw a man into solitary confinement with no trial and no charge. Don't vote for this woman. She's a witch. Good night.
في كتير طرق وسط الحياة تاهوا فيها ناس، وطرق تبان مفروشة ورد وتنتهي بألم وضيق، لكن الطريق للفرحة وطريق الخلاص عند المسيح، أصل المسيح